Guys, welcome back. We're going to do our last video on Hinduism. It is going to be Hinduism Today, and it shouldn't be a very long video. It's just a couple different slides because we didn't really go into a whole lot of in-depth with Hinduism. We spent most of our time, or in Hinduism Today, I mean, we spent most of our time on the core beliefs. So let's talk about Hinduism today and finish this up. There are more than 900, I can do numbers, 900 million followers, with roughly 95% of them living in India. So the vast majority of followers of Hinduism are in India. And you can kind of tell from this map, and I'm going to lean my screen a little bit, so you're going to see like a weird part of my face here, because it's got a glare on it. So you can kind of see that this really dark red area is India, obviously. And so we can see that the vast majority of them are in India. I find it interesting. There's a couple of other kind of splurts of Hinduism, though. Especially the one that interests me is this one over here in South America. I find that really interesting. There's, I don't 100% sure why. I don't know if it's because of explorers that came over. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like there's a little bit here in the Middle East, which wouldn't surprise me that they probably came from India and migrated there. I don't know if that's a dot on the map or if that's, I think that's a dot on the map. Some here, some here. So there's some little splatters of Hinduism throughout, but 95% of them live in India. And India has a ton of people. So it's not shocking at all that there's 900 million followers and 95% of them live in India. So, when the British controlled India from 1957 to 1947, Christian missionaries tried to convert Hindus. So, let me kind of break this down for you. India was its own independent civilization for a really long time. The British came in around 1750s. They came in and they kind of took control of the area, and India became a colony. The British had a tendency of doing this. We've seen the American colonies were British. The British, a lot of Europeans kind of tended to come over and make colonies, kind of take control of areas. Their justification was that it was to civilize the area, which we know that there was a civilization that was living there that was functioning perfectly fine, but it was kind of the way they justified doing what they did. So the British came in and took control of India and made them a British colony. And they were in control from 1757 to 1947. While there, Christianity was a big part of Europe, and it still is today. These Christian missionaries would come in and they tried to convert Hindus and slowly eliminate Hinduism. They came in and tried to change the religion. It was looked at as Hinduism being savage isn't the right word, but kind of primitive, not as advanced. So these Christian missionaries would come in and try to convert all these Hindu people. And slowly, Hinduism kind of started to fade out in India because of these Christian missionaries. But that didn't settle well with the people in India. And this kind of caused a lot of turmoil within the country because people didn't agree with it. So this, along with many other factors, led to Indians pushing for India's independence. So they wanted to, just like the Americas, they wanted to pull away from British control. Now the Americas did it much sooner, obviously, but they were also a colony for much earlier. But India was under British control for a very long time, up until the 1947, which doesn't seem like, it seemed like a really long time ago for us, but it really isn't in the grand scheme of things. So India fought for their independence, and part of it was because the Hindus were being forced to convert, and it wasn't settling well with them. The most famous Hindu reformer that came out of this was Mahatma Gandhi. And some of you maybe know who Mahatma Gandhi is. Really famous guy who was a peaceful protester. A lot of his ways of protesting were very similar to like Martin Luther King Jr.'s ways of protesting, peaceful marches. He didn't believe in violence or anything along those lines. So here's a picture of Mahatma Gandhi. You've maybe seen his picture before or heard his name before. When the British finally left India, Hinduism became the major religion. And this happened in 1947. So Hinduism spiked again in India after the British left. Christianity just really didn't get a hold in that area all that much. There are still Christians that live in India. There's also Muslims that live in India. There's Jews. I'm assuming there's probably Jews that live in India. I don't know. There's lots of people in India, so I would assume so. But Hinduism became the major religion in India and still is today. Now, Islam is growing pretty quickly in India, excuse me, but it's still not surpassed Hinduism, and I don't predict that it probably will. Indian culture has a lot of roots in Hinduism, or I should say, Hinduism has a lot of roots in Indian culture. So to completely take Hinduism out of India would be like taking a big part of the culture out. So I really don't see it changing, but it is something that's interesting to think about. So we're going to talk about two major holidays in Hinduism to kind of finish off our notes here. So the first one is Diwali, and we talked a little bit, Diwali. It looks like a W, and it is a W, but it's said with a V, Diwali. Diwali we talked about it a little bit around Christmas time. So it's known as the Festival of Lights, and it's a celebration that lasts for 5 days. And what's really interesting about Diwali is that Diwali, a lot of other holidays that we've talked about are linked to like a specific piece in the religion. So we've like, for Christmas, for example, is linked to the birth of Jesus. Easter is linked to the death of Jesus. So a lot of these different holidays that we've talked about are linked to like a specific piece of the religion. Diwali isn't like that. Diwali is linked to many different stories in religious texts. And I think a lot of that is because of the widespread ways that Hinduism is practiced. So like you can't link one holiday to one story because Hinduism is practiced so many different ways. So we have the stories, lots of different stories are linked to Diwali, and different people believe different things when Diwali comes around. But it's celebrated in mostly the same way. It's celebrated by lighting lamps. That's a very important piece of Diwali because it's the festival of light. There's lots of oil lamps that are lit. There's also occasionally some gift exchanging and coin exchanging, which I think is really cool. And then for the longest time, there was the shooting off of fireworks. Now, today, shooting fireworks is prohibited for most people in India because of the air quality. The air quality in India is so bad because there's so many people. The air is just horrid there. And so shooting off fireworks just kind of adds to that. So shooting off fireworks for most people is prohibited. Now, I'm assuming that they probably still have fireworks for certain occasions, but you have to have special permits and stuff. It's not like us where we can go buy fireworks and go shoot them off. It's a little bit different than that now. Another part of Diwali that's really cool is that people would create patterns known as Rangoli. And I think I've showed a video of this before when we talked about it around Christmas time. They use colored powders and sands, and they make these really cool designs on the floor. And you can look up YouTube videos of people making Rangoli. I really think I showed one to you guys around Christmas time. I'm almost positive I did. But they're really cool. You can use your hands to kind of put the sand in. You can use like squirt bottles, but they can be colored. They can be black and white. It's a really, really cool thing. It's a very big part of Diwali as well. The other major holiday we're going to talk about here. Oh, I forgot. So here is some of the pictures from Diwali. So we have the lit lamps. We have a Rangoli that's made with that sand. And then there's the lamps that come with it. Some really cool pictures here. And so I wanted to make sure I took the time. And you can pause this and look at them more closely if you want to, but I'm going to keep moving ahead. The last one we're going to talk about is Holi. Holi is a festival that celebrates the beginning of spring. after a long winter. So it's kind of a symbolic thing. So spring comes after the dark winter. It symbolizes the triumph of good over evil, like a symbolic thing. You think of spring, you think of very like flowers and the sun and bright colors, and then the winter is kind of dark and there's snow. So it's this like symbolic of good winning over evil, spring triumphing over the winter. So this is celebrated in March, which makes sense because we know that the spring equinox is in March. So the beginning of spring is then. So it's going to normally be celebrated in March. And it corresponds with the Hindu calendar month of, I don't know how to say that. I'm assuming it's Falguna would be my guess. The PH I'm assuming would be like an F sound, like so Falguna maybe. But it goes along with a Hindu calendar month. But it is celebrated in March, which makes sense because that's when spring starts. Some cool things that come with holly. Holly kind of reminds me a little bit of like those color runs that you see people do, like those marathons where they wear white shirts and people throw color at them. It's kind of like that. So on the day of Holly, when Holly is celebrated, people throw colored powder into the air and splash them on each other. So just like you kind of would in a color run, but it's more symbolic here because each color has a meaning. So for example, throwing the color, so the color red stands for love. So maybe you'd throw the color red on somebody that you love, whether it's a family member, a friend, a significant other. Green stands for new beginnings, which kind of makes sense. The color green, like nature and flowers blooming, like new beginnings and new starts. So each color kind of means something different. But they throw them in the air, they throw them on each other. They also splash water on each other using like water balloons or squirt guns. So, I mean, for that color to really stick and kind of dye shirts and stuff, you have to get wet too. So in those color runs, they spray you and throw color at you. Same sort of thing. So they would splash water on each other with water balloons, squirt guns. It kind of reminds me, like I said, of like a color run or like a big party where all this stuff is happening. The pictures that come from this are so cool. Like, I really encourage you guys to search up these pictures because they look so incredibly cool. Like the colors end up in the air. All these people are just like multicolored. I can't imagine what the streets would look like after this. But it's a really cool celebration. So that's going to end it for our Hinduism unit. So here's kind of the breakdown of what's going to happen. Tomorrow, you're going to get your study guide and you're going to get the quizzes game. I'll actually probably post the quizzes game later today so you can start studying today too. But you're going to study tomorrow and then you're going to take your Hinduism quiz on Friday. And that's going to be it. We're going to be done with Hinduism. We're going to move to a really, 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 really quick, like 1 week unit on Egypt where I'm going to shove everything at you in 1 week. And then we're kind of going to be done with social studies. So make sure you have your notes filled in and you guys can start studying for your quizzes. And I will see you later. Good luck.